I didn't respond, not because I was angry, but because there was nothing left to say. I looked around my new home, a place where every chair, every photo, and every memory belonged to me. For 8 years, I was a placeholder in someone else's story. Finally, I had started writing my own morning text from my wife. Change of plans. You're staying home from Europe. My kids want their real dad. By afternoon, I had canceled all the payments, listed the apartment, and left town completely. When they returned 2 weeks later, well, let me start from the beginning. The text came at 6:47 a.m. while I was tying my work boots. Mark, we need to talk about the trip. The kids want Dennis to come instead of you. They want time with their biological father. I know this is hard, but it's important to them. I read it 3 times, searching for an apology, some acknowledgement of how this sounded. There wasn't one. For a moment, I wondered if I was overreacting. Then I reread the text, and those 3 words burned themselves into my brain. My kids and real dad. By the end of that day, I had canceled the tickets, reclaimed every dollar, and realized something painful. I was never family. I was a placeholder. They were leaving tomorrow. I bought the tickets a month ago for round trips to London at 1847 each. My credit card, my overtime shifts, my name on the confirmation email. 8 years. I'd been in their lives for 8 years. Justin was 16 when I met Laura. Annabelle was 14. Now they were 24 and 22. I taught Justin to drive, helped Annabelle with college applications, been there for graduations, breakups, hospital visits, and now Dennis, who'd been absent since Justin was 7, who'd missed child support payments, who'd reappeared 6 months ago at Justin's graduation with apologies and promises. Dennis was taking my seat on the trip I'd paid for. I called Laura. She answered on the 4th ring, her voice careful. I know you're upset. Upset? I kept my voice level. I'm trying to understand how this happened. We planned this trip together 6 months ago. Dennis reached out. He wants to reconnect with his kids. They're excited about it, Mark. I thought you'd understand. Understand what? That I'm replaceable. That 8 years means nothing when the original model shows up. Don't be dramatic. This is one trip. The kids want time with their father. I've been their father, I said quietly. No, you've been their stepfather. There's a difference. They need this closure with Dennis. That word stepfather, the way she said it, like I was a rental, a temporary stand-in until the real thing became available again. So, I'm just supposed to accept that I'm not coming on a trip I paid for. We'll pay you back. It's not about the money, Laura. Then what is it about? I looked around the apartment we'd shared for 5 years at the furniture I'd bought, the bills I'd paid, the life I'd built around people who apparently saw me as optional. It's about respect. It's about being treated like I matter. You do matter, but so do they. So does their relationship with their father. And what about our relationship? What about my relationship with them? She sighed. That exasperated sound she made when she thought I was being unreasonable. Mark, you're making this harder than it needs to be. It's just 2 weeks. We'll do another trip. Just us. No, I said we won't. I hung up before she could respond. I sat there for a long time. Phone in my hand, coffee cold, thinking about patterns I'd ignored. The way she always introduced me as my husband, Mark, to new people, but the kid's stepdad to anyone from their past. The way major decisions about Justin and Annabelle were made without me, then presented as done deals. Way Dennis's name had started, appearing more often in conversations over the past 6 months, always with this wistful tone, like she was talking about something valuable that had been lost. I opened my laptop and looked at our finances. We had a joint account for household expenses that I funded every month, and my personal savings that I'd kept separate. I opened my email and found every receipt, every payment confirmation, every bill with my name on it. 8 years of documentation. Then I started making calls. First was the airline. I explained I needed to cancel one ticket and change the billing. After 20 minutes of holds and transfers, I had it confirmed. 3 tickets remained in Laura's name, but the payment was refunded to my card. They could rebook Dennis on their own dime. Second call was to Ian Wagner, a divorce attorney my coworker had recommended. His voice was direct, professional. How long have you been married? 6 years legally. 2 years before that living together. Any joint assets besides the apartment? Just the joint checking account. Everything else is in my name, lease, car, utilities, and you're the primary income. I cover about 80% of our expenses. Keep documenting everything. If you're serious about separation, we can file within the week. Given the circumstances and duration, you won't owe much, if anything, in support. I call my property manager next. Faith, I need to discuss my lease. What's going on, Mark? I'm planning to separate from my wife. The apartment's in my name. What are my options? You're paid through next month. If you want her to take over the lease, she'll need to apply and qualify on her own. If not, you can give 30 days notice and we'll relist it. Send me the notice form. You sure about this? I'm sure. That evening, when Laura and the kids returned from her sister's place to pack, I was sitting at the kitchen table with my laptop open. Laura saw my face and stopped. Mark, don't do this. Do what? Whatever you're planning, I can tell you're angry. I'm not angry, I said. And I realized it was true. I wasn't angry. I was done. I canceled my ticket. You three can go without me. What? Mark, come on. I also moved the payment back to my account. If you want Dennis on the trip, you'll need to buy his ticket. Her face went red. You can't do that. I just did. My money. My choice. Justin walked in then, carrying a suitcase. What's going on? Your stepfather is being petty, Laura said. I'm being clear. I corrected. You want your real dad on this trip? That's fine. He can act like a real dad and help pay for it. Dude, seriously. Justin's voice had that teenage whine he'd never quite grown out of. We leave tomorrow. Then you should probably figure it out tonight. Annabelle appeared in the doorway. Mark, please. We didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? She looked at her mother, then back at me. We just thought it would be nice to spend time with Dad. We haven't seen him in years. And whose fault is that? The room went quiet. That's not fair, Laura said. What's not fair is treating me like I'm disposable. What's not fair is 8 years of being there, counting for nothing the second he shows up. Nobody said you don't matter. You didn't have to say it, Laura. You showed it. I stood up and walked to the bedroom, pulled out the suitcase I'd already packed. When I came back, they were all standing there looking confused. Where are you going? Laura asked. Somewhere else. I'm staying with Tom until I figure things out. You're leaving right now. You leave tomorrow for 2 weeks. I'm just leaving first. Mark, can we please just talk about this like adults? We're done talking. You made your decision. I'm making mine. When you get back, I'll have my things out of here. You can figure out the rent on your own. You can't just kick us out. Justin said, I'm not kicking you out. The lease is in my name, and I'm terminating it. You have until the end of next month to find somewhere else. This is insane. Laura's voice was shaking now. This is consequences, I said. I picked up my suitcase and walked to the door. Laura followed me. Mark, please, let's talk about this when I get back. Don't make permanent decisions when you're upset. I'm not upset, I said again. I'm clear. Have a good trip with your real family. I walked out and didn't look back. The hardest part wasn't leaving. It was the 2 weeks of silence that followed. Tom let me crash in his spare room. Asked no questions, just gave me space. I went to work, came home, packed my remaining things from the apartment while they were gone. I filed separation papers with Ian Wagner. I closed the joint bank account and opened my own. I changed my address with the post office. By the time their plane landed, I was living in a small furnished place across town, and the apartment was listed for rent. The first message came through around 8:00 p.m. on the day they returned. Mark, where are you? There are people viewing the apartment. What did you do? I texted back. I terminated the lease. You have until the end of the month. My phone exploded. 17 calls, dozens of texts, all variations of the same panic. Where are they supposed to go? How could I do this? This is cruel. Dennis had disappeared again the day after they returned to the States. Just vanished. Phone disconnected. Promises evaporated. Of course he had. That's who Dennis was. That's who he'd always been. I didn't respond to most of the messages. Finally, Annabelle called from a number I didn't recognize. I answered, Mark, please. We're at Aunt Shirley's. We can't stay here. Mom's freaking out. Can we just talk? There's nothing to talk about, Annabelle. We made a mistake. I made a mistake. I thought having Dad there would be nice, but he left again. He just left, and now everything's falling apart. I'm sorry that happened, I said, and I meant it, but that's not my problem anymore. How can you say that? After everything. After everything. What? After 8 years of being treated like I was temporary? After being uninvited from a trip I paid for so your real dad could take my place? After being called a stepfather, like it was something less than real? She was crying now. I didn't know it would hurt you this much. That's the problem. Annabelle, you didn't think about how it would hurt me at all. None of you did. So you're just done just like that. Not just like that. It's been building for a long time. This was just the moment I finally saw it clearly. Justin got on the phone. Man, this is messed up. Mom's talking about calling a lawyer. She can try. I already talked to one. The apartment's in my name. The bills were in my name. And I have documentation for everything. She doesn't have a case. So what? We're just supposed to figure this out on our own. You're 24, Justin. Annabelle's 22. You're adults. Yes. You figure it out on your own. After everything you said about being there for us, I was there for you for 8 years, and the second your biological father showed up, I became irrelevant. You can't have it both ways. He hung up on me. 3 weeks later, the divorce papers were filed. Laura contested nothing. There was nothing to contest. The apartment was mine. The bills were mine. The car was mine. We had no shared assets, no kids together. And after Ian presented my documentation showing I'd funded 80% of everything, her lawyer advised her to accept the terms. 6 years of marriage dissolved in 45 days. I ran into Tom at a coffee shop 2 months after everything ended. We sat outside in the fall air watching people pass by. "You doing okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "I actually am. Any regrets?" I thought about it. I regret not seeing it sooner. I regret letting myself be treated like a wallet with legs for so long. But leaving? No, that I don't regret. I heard through the grapevine that Laura's working retail now. Kids moved back in with her into some small place. That's between them and their choices. Cold man, clear, I corrected. There's a difference. He laughed. Fair enough. I started dating again eventually. Nothing serious. Just coffee with someone from work, dinner with a friend of a friend. I wasn't ready for anything heavy. Maybe wouldn't be for a while, but I was okay with that. I'd spent 8 years building a foundation for people who saw me as temporary. Now I was building something just for myself. No shared accounts, no joint leases, no one else's kids to raise. Just me, my choices, my life. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. A year later, I got an email from Annabelle. The subject line was, "I'm sorry." I almost deleted it without reading, but something made me open it. "Mark, I know you probably won't respond to this, but I need to say it. I was selfish. We all were. We took you for granted because you were always just there. Always reliable, always taking care of things. We didn't appreciate what we had until it was gone." Dennis lasted 3 days before disappearing again. I haven't heard from him since. Justin's working 2 jobs trying to help Mom with rent. I'm finishing school, but it's hard. We're figuring it out like you said we would. I don't expect you to forgive us or come back or anything like that. I just wanted you to know that I understand now what we lost, and I'm sorry. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're happy. You deserve to be. I read it twice, then closed my laptop. I didn't respond. Not because I was angry, but because there was nothing left to